Hello, welcome to Chess Comedy Books 39. I'm James Pratt, and today I want to look at books about and a small number of books by Capablanca. Capablanca is one of the most widely documented of players. He lived a comparatively short life when he died in 1942, I think. It did come as a bit of a shock to the chess world. Lasker had passed away and Alekhine was to follow. So in that respect, three of the greatest players passed in and around the Second World War, not as a result of any actually dying in battle, you understand. But nevertheless, it was a considerable shock, I think. The first book I'm going to show you, I've got quite a few here actually, so this has been out for quite some years now. 1989, very, very well worth getting still. Quite small text, which may not please everybody. There you are. Edward Winter, historian, journalist. Not a man maybe to fall out with. Some photographs, not all of them that well reproduced. CAPA wearing a boater. He was world champion from 1921 to 1927, I think. He lost to Alekhine, whether in fact that more or less scuppered his self-confidence. I'm not sure. He was a ladies' man. He travelled fairly widely, came to England. Played at Nottingham in 1936. I'm just hesitating. Anyway, there we are, Capablanca. It has a very long title. Some of these books do. Sort of an American concept, published by Macfarlane. This book was, it's called A Primer of Chess. This is one of the more recent books I've read. Deals with fairly basic stuff on the openings. The new format, i.e. the moves down the page. It's a pretty good book, I think. It's by Capablanca. To many players, not of my generation, but a preceding generation, he was a god. And the same could be said of Lasker and Alekhine. And I'm pleased to put their three names together. The inevitable and very interesting sections on endings, things that everyone has to know, and all of us from time to time forget. Things like the opposition and flight squares and under promotion and all that sort of stuff. Section on the middle game. In the middle game, the player should strive for combinations leading to a direct attack against the king whenever possible. This is not exactly the point of view of the expert. In other words, it's difficult. And in other words, not everyone likes to attack, though we all of us should not play passively as a result of that. Now here's an interesting position. I don't remember seeing this discussed in any beginner's book. 2 pawns against 1. with kings in opposition. You'd think that would be easy peasy. Well, I would favour white, who wouldn't, but a cast iron win, I'm not so sure. This is a bell. It's not a very well-known book. It's a first edition published in 1935. Here we have another old book, My Chess Career, signed by Capablanca in gold. Look at that. I paid all of £6 for this. And it leads up to his, these are his early games. This isn't a book I know at all well. I have looked through it before because I would have done it on the train coming back. He plays Corso, who was also Cuban. And it goes up to maybe the First World War, I'm not sure. Oh no, Hastings Victory Congress, so that's in 1920. Yes, it's done in terms of his games. There we are. I said about traveling fairly widely. A Plata, back to Montevideo. I returned to Europe, making a short tour in Holland, where I gave 6 simultaneous exhibitions. If you're wondering what a simultaneous exhibition is, it's where a master or supposed master champion plays a lot of people at the same time. It's always good fun when these happen. They're less common now than once they were, and I played in my share. Yes, it deals with the 1908 match against Frank Marshall. I think that's the one. No difficulty was experienced in arranging the match. Marshall was disposed to play, in this case, where he naturally discounted his victory. How far he was wrong, the results proved. The sentence, Marshall was disposed to play, in this case, where he naturally discounted his victory, doesn't make sense to me, but I hope it does to you. There we are, My Chess Career. These were given to me by John Upham. They're like Informator in as much that it doesn't have English text. It has symbols. It's very comprehensive. It's all Capablanca's games with tournament table there. And you play through the moves, and then, you know, it gives you some alternatives or shows you what he did wrong or what he did right. And this starts from 1927, appropriately enough, when he'd just lost the world title, up to 1942 when he passed away. And this is the earlier volume, the companion, published by Chess Stars. I learnt a lot from these games. You have to, like everything else, perhaps like wine, you have to have it in quantity as well as quality. And this is the quantity side of Capablanca. As you can see, figurine, algebraic notation. This book, which came out about 40 odd years ago, is very, very highly thought of. The enormous amount of research went into it. There was also a book called The Unknown Alekhine, I think. I can't wait for them to bring out a book called The Unknown Pratt, can you? These are games which perhaps are not his most famous, but do have a contribution. Simultaneous games, consultation games, even friendly games, and games when he was but a lad. I mean, in a way, do we want to see all the Alekhine games again, or games against Lasker or Botvinnik or what you will? We want to see them, hence these books. but we don't necessarily want them to traipse that again. They did a lot of original research, and for that alone, it's in English descriptive notation, and it's fairly relaxed and friendly book. And I would, even if you aren't particularly interested in chess history, this would be a good one to take on holiday with you, that sort of thing. I would say it's one of the best chess books of the period, and recommended. This is another one I read recently. I got this sent by Pete Tambura from America. I've shown this before on these chinwags, but I'm showing it again. It's fairly basic. Bishop against knight there. I always find it's said of Erver that when he had a knight against the bishop against the Soviet player, he always lost, regardless of whether he had the bishop or the knight. The knight stands proud, or the bishop is constricted. Talks about pawns, value of the pieces. And here we have, they're not in the same position as last time, 2 pawns against 1, and the king, the white king, as you can see, a long way up the board, as if to say, well, you'll do what I say. Here we have one of my copies of Chess Fundamentals. I've got this twice over. Bob Phillips said this was the best book on chess. I have my doubts about that. I don't have my doubts that he said it. I have doubts that it is. It looks like I paid £2 for this. Goodness me. It's a 1946 Bell. It's got some nice little embryonic endings. In other words, positions which will inevitably, in one form or other, appear in your games, in all of our games. How to attack en masse, it says. Winning an indirect attack. I'll just show you the position. The print quality is not perhaps the best. This is a reprint from an earlier edition, I expect. It's always nice to get it black as your hat, but these are not. But I mean, it's okay. It's okay. And it's got the nice old bell cover, which I like. There we are. Now, this was a book which I think it was Irving Chernev's last book. It was also one of his best. I've never heard anybody say anything against this. I'd like a hardback copy if anybody's listening, like Father Christmas. What he does is he sort of splits the games into the opening and middle game, and then he comes on to discuss the endings in rather more detail. And if you want to just use it as an endgame text, I don't, but a lot of people might. You can actually find a diagram which is maybe 10, 12, 15 moves before the end of the game, and play on from there, or examine what Chernev has to say from that point. There we are, and it's the lovely old Oxford University Press, Adam Hart Davis, to whom we extend great felicitations. I believe he's still playing chess and living in Plymouth. Well, Adam, thank you. And the memory of Irving Chernev is kept green. A great book, nice and straightforward, in long form, algebraic notation, which I don't always favour, but in this case, it can do no wrong for me. Here's an unusual book. If Mark Hannon is listening to this, I'm not sure that he's got it. I know he was interested in Capablanca's Symbols. Well, this is a book. I have read some stuff in this, says he disparagingly. It's from Viala, the Moravian chess publisher. I think I paid quite a lot of money for this. Yes, nearly £25. And it deals with enormous amount of local news reporting as Capablanca travelled round. I'm sure that it was arranged just like a pop concert would be today, that he was appearing in Huddersfield and then he was appearing in Birmingham and so forth. And in the end, thousands of people not just to play him, which the top players obviously would have wanted to have done, the top club players, but also just to see him, because he was very, sort of like a film star. He thought he was anyway. No, I think, giving him his due, he was a very good PR person for chess. There couldn't have been a better one. I mean, it gives the lists of players who competed locally. I'm not sure if he came anywhere near where I am. Bradford, Cardiff, St Albans, Liverpool, even went up to Scotland. Senor J.R. Capablanca in Glasgow. The visit of the great young Cuban master. I'm sorry, but he was a great deal more than a Cuban master. To Glasgow to fulfill a 2 days engagement with Glasgow Chess Club as arranged, aroused the most intense interest in city chess circles. I bet it did. I'm shaking in my boots even now, and only with excitement. As you can see, these notes are often reproduced, I'm sure faithfully, from contemporary sources. So if you dislike games, as I do, with a lot of computer spew out, then this book and books like this will give you a very good, authentic flavour of the 1920s or whenever he was over here. Enormous amount of narrative here. I mean, here's a list of all the people, if you needed it, 35 people whom he played in 1919 in Hastings. So there we are. And as you can see, he beat them hollow. W.H. Watts, a name named to me as an editor, won. And he gave away some draws, 7 draws and 1 loss and 27 wins. So he played 35 boards. Yes, he did. He earned his money, didn't he? 35 boards, even beginners, that's a lot of work for him. So I don't suppose he did it any faster than 4 or 5 hours. I don't know. Well, I've got... This is a book which had a very short life. It's very odd. It came out and I thought, whoa, well, this is a standard book. This is one of the more modern I nearly said rehashes, but that's very impolite. Rewrites. Golombek's book was put under the microscope by Dr. John Nunn, who better. And Nunn obviously found some mistakes, not just because they've emerged because of the time between Harry writing the book and John Nunn looking the text through, but also because John Nunn is no disrespect to Harry, a much better player, particularly when it comes to openings. Harry was very eloquent and he would have met and played Capablanca, which Nunn obviously hasn't. But nevertheless, there's corrections, you might call it a glossary, at the bottom of 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 pages. And once in a while, John has to say, I can't understand why you've said this, or, after pawn to king 3, actually black is losing. Golombek said, and everything is routine now. And Nunn points out, I disagree with almost everything in this note. White is by no means lost. This attack seems easily countered with 27 E4. Well, he might speak directly, but he speaks honestly, and it is not in any way detracts from the fact that this is a very good book. When it appeared, Capablanca obviously wasn't as well known. Neither was any chess originals around, such as Informator or databases. None of that would have been known to Harry. So, no, I say lovely for Batsfords to bring it out, but it's not to everybody's taste. Contains an enormous amount of historical corrections by E.G. Winter, whom I mentioned earlier. Edward Winter likes nothing better than to write about Capablanca, and he deserves our respect. There we are. I need my tea, so I shall stop now. Thank you for listening. This has been Chess Comedy Books 39. I'm James Pratt, wishing you a very pleasant evening.